What's up, folks? Sean the Average Angler coming at you with another great video. Today we're going to be talking about baits that I think you should be throwing right now. This isn't a month thing. I was at Clear Lake. I watched and saw the state of the lake, the transitions that are going on, and I want to try and help out everybody to catch more fish right now. Because November baits, I think, is really going to change, but we're not quite there right now. We're probably talking about now, the next 2 weeks moving forward. Some of this stuff's going to play forward, maybe not necessarily the way we're going to fish it. Let's first talk about reaction baits right after our housekeeping. First of all, if you're new to the channel, you like this kind of content, hit that subscribe button down there. When we get to 5,000 subscribers, we're going to have a big bait giveaway. And I'm going to have a lot of stuff in there. We may have some OSP metal jigs, metal blade jigs. We'll probably have some fat pack stuff. We're definitely going to have some Yamamoto stuff in there. I'll probably have some crankbaits in there because, well, just put it around the kind of stuff we're talking about right now. That's kind of what you can go on. Second housekeeping item. I'm going to cut back the number of videos a week because I really want to step up the quality of the videos, okay? I want to bring you guys a little more information. The videos will probably be a little longer. Hopefully the quality of information I'm giving you is going to be better. Okay, that's my goal. Third thing, you have to be a subscriber to be eligible for the bait giveaway we're going to be doing. Is the end of October. We're just a day or two away from Halloween. One day, Friday. Yeah, Friday. Halloween on a Friday. Don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. First, we're going to talk about reaction baits or baits higher up in the water. From what I saw at Clear Lake, number one, I'm just going to get it out there and say that we need a bait die-off, okay? The amount of bait in the lake right now, which is threadfin shad, it's out of freaking control. Holy cow. There is a ball of bait everywhere. I mean, anywhere you stop the boat and drop the scope and scan around, there's bait. It's too much. Too much bait is not necessarily a good thing either. Now, the scopers might disagree with me. I have scope, but you don't need that much bait in the lake to do it. It actually makes it too competitive for everybody. The first bait to be throwing right now, as the bait's still up, before it heads down deep, the bait throughout Clear Lake was up. The water temperature was, call it 62 degrees for the sake of averages, and that's basically what I saw, even on the overcast, cooler day with the wind blowing. And like I said, my buddy who won big fish of the tournament was throwing this new Yamamoto hinge minnow. I don't care what brand, guys. There's lots of brands out there. Fat Packs is going to have the 5.2 coming out later in November. Right now, if you're on a fishery with the smaller bait, the 3.5 cross minnow is a good one. You got the Sakamata shads, the OSPs. I mean, everybody's got one now. You don't want to spend the money on the Sakamata shad. Bass Pro Shops has an XPS one that I did a video on quite some time ago. You can catch them on those minnows. But what I really like to do this time of year, honestly, is I like to get, this isn't the best example because this is a bigger one, a quarter, I think. This is a quarter. But get you like a 1/8 ounce underspin, or if they don't want the blade, you can just do it with a ball head. And I like to use 3.3 Fat Packs swim bait on a very light ball head or underspin. Now the difference is the ball head you're going to let fall through stuff, right? Cast it out, engage the reel, and let it pendulum back, okay? There's just something different to the tail that kicks compared to the tail that doesn't, like a scope shad type of bait. It gets bites as it's dropping down through these bait schools. It's actually what we did a lot before scope came out. Well, and now they just think people forget about it. They don't do it. So that is one that I would attack those fish in the upper water column with. Number two is going to be a chatterbait of some type. Okay, this one happens to be that OSP metal jig. Again, if you watch the chatterbait video I did, different type of blade, little different sound. Got a weed guard here. Put you a cross minnow on the back for a trailer. You can use a spunk shad. I'm looking for a reaction bite with that. I'm fishing it pretty quick, higher in the water column, really kind of burning bank, covering water. Now, if you have scope and you see fish are around, it's a bait you can pick up, make some casts with, and really move on. Now, what I would prefer to throw, and this is what I really saw when I was at Clear Lake that I should have been throwing, is a mid-depth crankbait. Okay, this one happens to be the I'm a Pinjack. It is a favorite on Clear Lake. Very good weight to it. It is 7/16 ounce. It's a smaller bait, casts like a bullet, and you reel it pretty fast. Okay, it's not something you're working slow. You don't have to get that one. There's a lot of different ones you can use. OSP Blitz DR, I think this one is. Yep, Deep Runner. OSP Deep Runner, but it's not that deep. It's, I believe it's still in that 8 to 12 foot range. Very much like a Pinjack. The Blitz Max DR, which is going to run just a bit. It's a little bit bigger body than the EXDR. So you really want to match the size of the body to your bait. Now remember, most of these mid divers, they're pretty modest size. The body there, it says 50, it's 2 inches. Okay, that one's 2 inches. This one's probably 2.5. So generally, pretty small size bait. Colors, I'm going to be going shad type colors, okay? Before those fish get that big, deep temp drop where that water drops down too cold, they are going to be on a lot of the small bait. And they will be up in the water column. There's also fish deep. We're going to get to that in a minute because it's the same thing in all lakes. It can depend on your forage, but you still have those deeper fish from the summer. As long as they have food down there, some fish are just more comfortable deep. Some fish, as the temps started dropping, the weather's kind of changing. Some will just start that move immediately, especially, again, if there's food, like Clear Lake that has food everywhere. Okay, topwater. I still like to have a topwater tied on. I didn't see any topwater action at Clear Lake. There really hasn't been any for a while. And most likely, generally speaking, because they're on bait, the bait's down a little bit, again, in that 6 to 12 foot range. That's kind of the area they're at. They weren't coming up. But if you have a different scenario, the bait I really like to use this time of year is this 110 cane walker. Okay, I don't know what it is. I like the transparent colors like this. This color happens to be CJ shad. I work it pretty aggressively. If they're on topwater, this is a great one. I don't know what it is. It's just been a very successful fall bait for me. If you're on a fishery that has stripers, that bait works great. You just got to be aware the split rings have opened up on me. So change out your hooks and split rings. It's cheaper than a shower blow, and the stripers won't destroy it. Well, they may destroy it. That's the whole point why I don't want to throw the shower blows in places that have those stripers. Okay, so I think that's about it for me as far as the upper water column baits go. I really like to fish out some this time of year, or my bottom bait. Just on average, my fish tend to be bigger. So again, go to the underspin. I like to fish the underspins on the bottom a lot. You can go to smaller swim baits, 5 to 6 inch swim baits as well, depending on the body of water. It's something I'll do at Clear Lake, Berryessa. But where I really like to go this time of year, and many of you probably already know this, is to the shaky head, okay? And on the shaky head, I am going to be throwing that Fatty Z, okay? This one's kind of tweaked up and bent out. It's been sitting on the workbench here for probably a month. But that Bass Union, either a 3/16 or 1/4 ounce, I order mine with a 2/0 hook. They seem a little flexible, but I've caught some really big fish on these. Never had a problem with them. I highly recommend that Bass Union shaky head, the paint stays on them, as you can see there. This one's been used quite a bit. The paint stays on them really well, okay? The hook, the knot tie is protected pretty well on there. The other one I like is that frenzy nail. If you need help standing something up, that frenzy nail. For some reason, this time of year, I just like that angle of the Bass Union where it's not standing quite straight up and down as much. Once we hit winter, I tend to like that a little more. Remember, you want to use a worm that's fairly buoyant. For those of you that know, you know already what I'm going to say. The Fat Pack Slinky worm is fantastic for shaky head, drop shot. It doesn't matter. It works for both. It comes as a 6.5-inch worm, very much sort of like a trick worm style shape. If you want it shorter, I just cut them down to adjust to the size that I need. Another really good one is that Fat Pack Beastie Bug. That's the 3.8 Beastie Bug. I'll put them on a football head like this if I'm looking for a little smaller profile, and that's what I really wanted to touch on. Before we get into that cold temperature drop where your lake temps drop down into the mid-50s, high 50s, they should still be good. The fish tend to eat a bigger profile when I'm fishing bottom fish. That's the time where I'm going to use that Beastie Bug 3.8 as a trailer. And as you know, coming back from the Yamamoto tournament, I'm very high on that 4-inch Yama craw. Clear lake fish tend to like big baits. However, I don't want to limit it just to clear lake because there's actually a lot of lakes in my area that I can think of where I will throw that bigger bait. If I need to downsize, I will go to that Johnny C or the Bass Union jig, and I will use a 3.8 Fat Pack's Beastie Bug on the back. The colors I'm generally going with is this Mad Hatter, which is that red and black, right? But it's a swirl. And I've mentioned this before, how crucial, you see the dark patches here on the back of the trailer, how crucial that is to help the fish see the movement. Something I learned a long time ago, and you can do this on your green pumpkins in the fall. Take your black marker and just put a thin line around the tip of that claw and then pull it through the water and look at it. You'll see what I'm talking about. It's very effective. It'll take me from getting not a lot of bites to all of a sudden getting a lot of bites. It's just, you think about fish's tails and stuff, and when you look at crawdads and you see their claws, they always have these dark spots around the edges. So I think it just looks pretty realistic to them. Where to fish the jig? Really, there's no limitation. You can fish them just about anywhere. If you have the ability to find high percentage areas, we're going to talk about what those are. It's always better to put yourself in high percentage areas. Now, this is going to require one of a couple of things. Either a boat or kayak with the fishing graph on it. You don't have to have scope, side imaging, even down imaging works fine. And I'll do some videos and show you some places that I have on my local lake and show you what they look like. And I can tell you what they are based off me fishing them so much. And that's really, in the old days, how we found stuff was fishing. Number two, if you're a bank angler or something, one way, and I've mentioned this before, that I really like to probe lakes and feel around for things is with a 3/4 ounce swing head. It actually comes through stuff pretty good, and I found the swing head bite purely by accident, to be honest with you. Just using that 3/4 ounce swing head, feeling for bottom, and the next thing you know, I discovered a bite that was fantastic. So what do I like to put on the back of it? You can use a number of things. I mean, that Beastie Bug, that's the 3.8 Beastie Bug, fits on the back of the swing head pretty well. The swamp crawler that I have on the back of the swim jig here, I personally like to use the Magnum Rage Bug. It's bigger than the swamp crawler here, right? I do use this certain times of the year, and I would suggest that if your fish are small. My fish are bigger. Probably get more bites, so I went down to the other one. But I used the bigger one because the hook. Now on this one, I have the split ring there, so I've changed out this hook. I can use the smaller one. It fits fine. It's probably what I'll do on my local lake, because my local lake isn't necessarily into the bigger bait philosophy. The main thing I'm doing with that, if I'm fishing from shore, is I'm chunking and winding, feeling bottom. You're feeling for structure. Almost any time you have a drop off of some sort, you're going to have rock on it. Again, we're getting to the hard spots, right? Fish want the hard spots. Very high percentage spots. Drop offs, very high percentage spots. Rock piles, another very high percentage spot. These are things as a bank angler that you can fish a swing head on and locate the stuff when you don't have a fishing graph to do it for you. You can cover quite a bit of areas, but you can start on a point, because generally points have rock. And you can feel around, feel off the sides, cast off the sides of them. Usually one side's going to be steeper than the other and have more rock. The other side might still have quite a bit of rock, but you will feel that it's not as steep. Trust me, as you go out and do this, you start to pick up on different things. You can tell the different types of rock. You'll feel smooth rock. You'll feel the jagged stuff. Your stuff's going to hang up a little bit more on the jagged stuff. Now, one thing about getting this through that jagged stuff, when you feel it starting to hit something, go ahead and pop it a little bit. Think like you're trying to, I come in, I bump something, and you just want to help pick it up. You want to change the angle of that head from this to this so that you can come up over it. Now, when I'm fishing a 3/4 ounce football jig like this one in rock, I find I like to pop it up. Not necessarily the best way once we get to winter, and we'll cover winter when we get there, but right now fish are aggressive until that water temperature drops under 58 degrees, and some places they'll stay very aggressive longer. That's when I kind of notice the change, when I need to kind of slow down a little bit. But right now I'm going to get that thing to where it starts to hang up. You start feeling it, it's not sliding anymore, and I just pop it. Okay, we're not talking about ripping this thing up off the bottom. We just want to make it jump a little bit. Make him kind of crawl up that rock. If he's over it right away, you're good. Let it sit a little bit. Maybe you shake it a little bit, but you got to stay in touch with the line and feel what's going on so that you don't snag. One thing from the bank that's very difficult when you're walking that bait uphill, once you get it snagged in there, it's very difficult to get it out. So you need to be paying attention to how that feels. If you're snagging a lot and you want to help protect it a little bit, use that swamp monster because of the wider body here. This one's on a swim jig, so it's turned sideways. Put that baby on the jig this way, and you've got this nice wide body to help keep it from falling down into stuff, okay? The other thing you can do, you can put a Senko on the back or a fat bat, which is Fat Pack's Senko version, and just put it sideways. Take that worm and put it across the bait this way. Trust me, you'll thank me later. I have no idea what they think it is, but they eat the snot out of it. You're just trying to find a way to keep it from falling down in. And that's with the regular jig. The swim jig, you're moving in one direction the whole time. As you feel it starting to hang up, just pop it a little bit with your tip. Get that thing to bounce up and keep moving forward. Once you figure out these high percentage areas, and this is going to go in your memory bank, and once you know where they're at, you know where they're at. Then you can go fish other things on them, right? Whether it's that shaky head, throw that shaky head on there, throw a drop shot on there. Drop shot can be a great bait. And depending on how deep it is, you can throw a wacky Senko, you can Nico rig it. It will give you places to fish this winter if you're a bank fisherman too, without having the graph, that kind of stuff. For the guys that do have the graph, you got to spend a little time graphing. Hey, sometimes if your graphs aren't real good, it's still a good way to find stuff, and this is how I did it originally. Even though I had graphs in a 21-foot boat, I went out and threw that bait, and I reeled it to feel. And when I hit something, I'd get up to it, I'd mark it on my graph. I don't even want to tell you how many waypoints I have on Clear Lake. It's over 1,000, okay, of just rock piles. I have rock piles, individual rocks, clumps of rocks, you name it. I started marking all that stuff. Do they work all the time? No, but some of them do. I hope this helps. These are great presentations for right now. The other one, the deep diving crankbait, I'm really going to go to a craw type pattern right now. Those fish that are deep a lot of times they are not necessarily on the bait. They're looking for other things. The jig bite has been phenomenal at Clear Lake recently. It's that time of year, and they tend to be really good fish. I'm Sean the Average Angler. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.